In my last video, I showed you this floating storage rack, and now I'm going to show you how I built it. Welcome back to Mission DIY. This floating storage system has honestly been a game changer in our garage. Everything has its place, the bins are easy to access, and because it's mounted on the wall, the floor stays open and easy to clean. What makes this rack different comes down to two design choices. The first is obvious, it floats. There's no legs and no base and nothing touching the floor. The second is less obvious, but just as important. I designed it to save depth. I could have turned these bins sideways and packed in more storage, but that would have pushed everything farther into the garage. Since we want to park the camper in this bay, keeping this wall as tight as possible was a priority. Sometimes better design isn't about fitting more, it's about making the space work better, and how we actually use the garage. Today I'll show you exactly how I built it so you can make one for your own garage. For this build, I used 2x4s for the frame, bin supports, and spacers, and 2.5-inch construction screws. We used 17-gallon storage bins from Home Depot. We chose the smaller 17-gallon ones versus the 27-gallon because they're still big enough to store a lot of stuff, but they won't be too heavy to slide out and move around. We also like the clear bins because it makes it easy to see what's inside. They also come in black in case you want a more uniform look. You'll also need a drill, a saw, level, tape measure, and some markers. The exact dimensions can be adjusted based on your wall space and whatever bins you want to use. That's one of the best parts about this. You can customize it however you like. I'm going to be talking you through building just this main section on the right. So step one is to first pick your bins. You want to measure the width, depth, height, and the lip dimensions. In this case, the width is 27 inches, the lip height is 2 inches, the overhang of the lip is 1.5 inch, and the total height is 12.5 inches. You also want to measure the depth, which is 17.5 inches. Because this whole rack is built around making the bins slide in and out smoothly, too tight and they'll bind up, and too loose and they'll wobble around or fall off completely. So getting the measurements right makes all the difference. You will need to cut some of the 2x4s to make spacers, so that each part of the rack will be exactly the same and save you time for measuring later. You'll need a 10-inch spacer used for the height of each bin support, and a 27 3/4-inch spacer for the width of each vertical side panel. I have 30 bin supports 17.5, 8 vertical pieces 62 inches, 5 horizontal pieces plus 1 to help hang this on the wall that are 89.25. You're going to build 2 side panels, one for the left and one for the right, and as many panels in the middle as you need. In my case, it was 2. The middle panels will be identical to the sides, with the addition of adding slats to both sides of the panel. I started by pre-drilling holes in all of the bin support slats. These will be the runners that let the bins slide in and out like drawers. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit different where I'm starting my first horizontal bar at the bottom of the rack because this is going to be a floating shelf. So there's going to be no support at the bottom. That's for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'd like to be able to sweep all the leaves and debris out of the garage easier. We do get a lot of leaves over here. Whenever the door is open, we get a lot of them blowing in. And then the other reason is, as you can see right here, the floor is just completely unlevel. Making these floating will eliminate the problem of the floor being unlevel. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm starting the first horizontal piece that will hold up my bin. Each of the bin supports should be square with the vertical lumber and spaced using the 10-inch spacer. Then each bin is going to be 10 inches from the next one. For the next panel, I secured bin support runners on one side, then flipped the panel over and added runners to the other side. There were 2 of these middle panels. Once I had all of the side panels put together, I began connecting them with the 89 1/4 inch long horizontal pieces. I used the 27 3/4 inch long spacers to get them placed just right. There are 2 horizontal supports at the top and 3 across the back. Once I had the rack built, it was time for the fun part, hanging it on the wall. To make installation easier, I mounted a horizontal 2x4 across the wall at the height I wanted. That left a few inches of clearance under the bottom row of bins and gave me a ledge for the whole rack to sit on while I secured it. Then I hoisted the rack up, leaned it on that wall support, and started driving screws in. Everywhere the frame lined up with the wall studs, I used 2 screws, so this thing wasn't going anywhere. And just like that, it was floating. I love builds that solve practical problems, but also love when they point to something bigger. There's something freeing about lifting things up off the floor and creating room underneath, and I think God does that in our lives too. He lifts burdens, clears clutter, and makes room for better things when we trust Him. I added plywood to the top so we can use it as an additional shelf for bulky items like our tent and camp chairs. And here it is, simple, strong, easy to access, easy to clean the floor, and one of the best garage upgrades that we've done. If this gave you ideas for your own garage, hit subscribe. I've got more custom storage builds coming. And if you built one of these, I'd love to see it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.